Good evening, Earthbound Super Series, and welcome into another exciting Round 1 matchup in the Boogey 2025 tournament. We are in the bracket round, and your 14 seed is MBGenie. Your 20 seed is StaticPulse, and I'm Leslie Pro. I hope you're ready for an exciting race, as if you wanted exciting, the second quad last night certainly delivered, so what'll happen? Hard to say, really. The countdown is on, so we will be getting underway shortly. And we're off. We start off with an introductory cutscene. And while we're getting underway, we get ourselves a channel point prediction. Who do you think is going to win this particular race between MBGenie and StaticPulse? And here comes the meteor, and that wakes Ness out of bed. So now it's just a quick scramble to figure out, okay, what happened? But first, take a bat. Both runners opt a lower route just to be on the safe side, because sometimes it's a very short time loss. And speaking of time losses, Ness's mom getting in the way. The joys of RPG speedrunning. Losing time because an NPC decides to get right in your way. So it's just a movement section right here to get up the hill, talk to Pokey, and then make your way home. Now, unfortunately, both runners had a different NPC obstruct their optimal path, so they both lost a bit of time as a result. It's early. There are far worse time losses to be taken in a Boogey percent run. Genie first back at 241 on the fade out. StaticPulse at also 241. And yes, that knocking, which is a perfectly valid reason to answer the door quickly. Oh, there was a fun little detail that I picked during an attempt during Boogey percent press earlier in the week, is that if Pokey's facing down towards Ness, he'll actually turn towards Ness's mom and face her before turning back to facing Ness, which I thought was a rather cool detail that I didn't know about. And now you all know about it. And yes, the runners have the bat, otherwise gotten lectured. the couch for runners, opting to play it safe and not have to deal with tripping over something behind the sofa, which honestly is valid because last thing you want to do is trip. Static takes the behind the couch route. And now comes the real fun, where the game's RNG can really start to decide things. Oh, there's a dog. Dogs will aggro and charge it, so we avoid those. Crows, their movements predict. Unfortunately, the crow decided to attack. Static to stutter around the snake. Oh, but caught. Free from the crow and gets it done. And Snake's about to go flying. Or I don't think Static wants to take another encounter, so not a chance with the crow. I don't blame him. Genie, first runner to get to Picky. Static not too far behind here. Interesting about that coil snake positioning on Static's side. I actually am where the coil snake was on. Was the right next to Picky near the meteor, and I'm like, has that ever happened before? That was literally one of my that's never happened before moments from this tournament. Either in races or practice. Still, this has been a fun time. And if you're all thinking of signing up for this tournament next year, I highly recommend it. And now our runners make their way back home. And now Genie takes on is the first runner to get to Starman Jr. Static not too far behind. Okay, 113 to 115. That's not bad for a first round. A 115 for Stick. 2 cycle for G. Nicely done. That's the RNG we want to see. Unfortunately, when Picky hits Ash, all that does is just waste time. And Static's out too. I believe that was a 2 cycle. Someone correct me if I'm wrong on that. Now, neighbors head home, and, yeah, that's not something I'm gonna talk about. Unfortunately for Buzz, Lardna strikes. Just be careful how you mash this particular menu, because in terms of mashing it, the first mash is an A mash up to the first yes, no, and then after that, the menu switches to a B mash, so you can get out of the menu. And both runners got out of the menu. It's fine. So, it's time. Like, Zoo is trying to hold Genie up. Oh, pincered by dogs and tries to retreat. 3 runaway dogs, a coil snake, plus the cameraman on screen. Fuzzy Pickles! Static, on the other hand, a clean run through to pass the library and now to the hideout to get the Mr. Baseball cap. Static picked the trash can burger, and I mean, speaking of burgers, what I have for dinner tonight is a leftover turkey burger. It's actually pretty good. Shopping trip done for Static. Now it's off to the arcade. And yes, it is still anybody's game, even in this early phase. He opting for the $40 pull instead of the $50. Now, the 40 pull is a bit harder because it really forces your shopping route to be accurate. I guess 50 is a good safety. Oh, Static missed the first swing. Second swing just smashes through Pogo Punk. I did not see a fruit juice picked up from Static. You have a hard smashing win like that? Do you really need it? I don't think so. But that's just me. Uh-oh. Genie barely surviving. Might have to pop the bread roll now. Lots of life up. Normally I save the as well as most of us do for Frank, but I guess sometimes needs more. Static first runner. Oh, G to death to Yes Man Jr. Not a painful death, considering that he already hit the photo trigger, but time loss all the same. Static taking an interesting order of operations here and takes a death to Frankenstein Mark II. I might have... because the way Frankenstein's script works is that it attacks on one turn, then generates a burst of steam on the next turn. For those familiar with the Pokemon franchise, that is like the Truant ability. in that the user is only able to attack every other turn. Shoutouts to Slacking and that evolution and its previously evolved forms. But honestly, in terms of the two deaths, one for each runner in roughly the same area, and having to come all the way back and having that photo trigger go off, yeah, it's a wash. Genie still has to get through rank, though. And this time, yes, Junior does go down. Let's see how Genie's Frank fight goes. When Static gets to the arcade, it's straight Frankie Stein Mark II. Genie beat Frank on the first attempt. The second attempt goes for Static. Back to order operations, I probably would have saved life up on Static's first attempt for attacking turn, so that I knew I'd be getting the most out of my life up. Static gets through. Genie, on the other hand, gets a smash and is able to make up a lot of time with a very quick, very clean Frankie Mark II. You love to see it. Static opting for the safety heal, which is a thing the runners can take if they want to restore their HP and, more importantly, their psychic points for the upcoming slug grind. Nice quick short Static to get into City Hall without having to go around and walk through the path that the game dev. And this is one of my favorite text boxes in the entire game. As the first time I saw this box as a kid, I burst out laughing. Now, based off of how this run has gone so far, I'd expect both runners to do some burger shopping here. It's exactly what Static up for. Runners doing a high five at the M. Well, we're definitely getting burgers today. Time to stock up. Static getting an extra burger that he wound up using earlier, so that allows MBGenie to pull up a little bit ahead here. But Genie opts to get rid of the fruit juice. Now, there are times where that can actually come into play, and I think Static's just so slightly ahead here. But let's see how the slug grind goes. Static with a quick 4-pack. And here comes Genie's first 4-pack. Good escape to despawn both mice. Static is stuttering this successfully. That is incredible. Very well done. Only a 3-pack for slugs. Because you 22. The way the math works is that another 3-pack cover the 6 at the end to hit that 22, but we'll see. We'll see how the RNG shakes out. Oh, the mouse got loose there. So Static's gonna have to despawn it. Gets a 4-pack though. So what used to happen is the cave would be sort of the respawn point to try and get the 4-packs, but now it's just walking back and forth on this spot, typically with a mouse caught on the terrain so that the spawn tile doesn't spawn another mouse. As so far done. From here, it's still RNG as to whether this darn slugs can spawn in. Wow, that mouse is really stuck on the terrain on Genie's side. I think that was only a 2-pack for Static, so that's gonna make the magic. It's a game. Static does not want a magic butterfly right now. He's after slugs, not butterfly. Level 7 for Genie. Genie in a position where a life up would Yep, there's a life up, and there's another 4-pack. Now, as our runners are approaching level 8, something to keep in mind is the attack stat. Very important detail here. Because at an attack stat of 23 at level 8, Ness is not able to one-shot Antoids. But at an attack of 4, he is. So that can play a difference as we approach Titanic Ant. That's level 8 for Static. I think that's a 24 offense. But Genie's against a mouse, gets but delivers one right back and gets out of it. You can get a 6-pack of slugs here, but you gotta be careful because sometimes you can get Antoids instead, and unfortunately Static does get caught by a mouse with an Antoid. Just gonna use Rockin' to get rid of this. And the cookie is generally dropped by black Antoids in this part, as if it is the attack slugs drop, that's a 1 in 128 drop, is a bomb. We have that happen a few times in this turn. In fact, Satake got one last night to drop. Static stutter, it failed, doesn't matter. An instant win. Genie opting for the burger now. Static opting for a despawn because there's no stuttering to that. Very interesting stutter here by Genie. Gets through. Static hits a door spawn, but it's a single enemy. No worries there. Genie hits spawn. Single Antoid must have a 23 attack because, yeah, that's not an instant win. Here we go into Ant. Okay, Ant starting by putting up a shield. 76 roll, just a bit below the median. Oh, it's hard bite for Genie to start. This is gonna be trouble. Definitely want to heal after that because another hard bite. Oh, speaking of hard, double smash! Static goes down as well. But Genie's gonna be able to live. By a miracle, that is how much Titanic Ant can win a race. That is a very painful death. I would know because that costs you at least 5 minutes to get back there. And honestly, that's why I call Titanic Ant Titanic Noun. Genius the Static gonna have to play catch up from this point forward. That is just the brutality of this category. Is if you're on a PB attempt, an ant death is a reset. Yeah, Genie, you definitely got the luckier exchange there. You opted for the burger and were able to get it off. Had you gone for life up and he used magnet, you would have gotten blocked. And, spoiler alert, that is what doomed me last night, in part. An extended stutter from Static. Good. Keeping his distance. Unfortunately, and out right at the rope. Hate to see it. Two Antoids won't be able to run, but will be able to just take him out. As the next step for Genie, cop fight. A text box that if you mash the B button, you get a shorter text option and save a couple seconds. Versus hitting yes. Admittedly, there's not much you can do when Titanic hits you for a smash for 60 and then follows up with an attack. Like, there's hardly any defense for it other than getting lucky and taking it out at that point. Not much you can do about it. Oh, Genie with a smash finish off first cop. All right, round 2 for Static. I'm gonna have to put some work in to finish the Antoid off. Antoid did play a shield that is gonna slow Stat down. And Static gets a measure revenge with a smash of his own. And he gets level 10 on the Titanic Ant fight. Another smash from Genie to finish off the fourth cop. Now it's time for Strong. Going right for a good decision there, because Strong likes to throw rock and rather throw a submission. Static gets door spawn coming out of Giant Step. And Genie is through, having cleared Captain Strong. Might have gone through all the burger stash, but got through. And it looks like Static is going for the skip sandwich that's on floor 1 of Giant Step now. Skip sandwich play has been a thing we have seen since the last tournament in this category, often used to evade enemy spawns, typically in Peaceful Rest Valley. Genie opting to avoid the burger instead of picking it up. Interesting strategy, see how it works. Static's gonna have to do some burger shopping because Titanic really drained his resources. Our next step in Tucson is save to set up a Death Warp and pull out money for Apple Kid. Cop Gauntlet now for Static as Genie is heading into Apple Kid's house. Unfortunately, Genie clicked on AT card, and that brought up some alternates. That's 2 fights down for Static. Nice crit. Smash attacks definitely help to speed up Gauntlet, especially since most fights are 3 hits. All you have to do with the pencil eraser in PRV is to just not even scroll it on screen as much as just get enough of it on load in to where the game says, okay, you can pass. I believe it was a streamer tonight, Temple, who did some sciencing on that a while ago to figure that out. Oh, a rocket fail for Static. That is some bad luck. It's a 66. Is gonna have to do some work. Strong was dying. Now, Strong does sometimes go into a guard pose, in which case your attacks don't do much damage, but Static is through at 3608, roughly. Speaking of cops, the cops spawn in Tucson is flanked with a pair of runaway dogs. You need taking the back road over to Apple Kid. More of a PK Scramble style route. Picks up a skip sand. I think the whole community as a whole is sold on the skip sandwich strat because it has really paid dividends in PRV. Be careful of those mushrooms. They have a small aggro radius, but that's one fight you definitely don't want because mushroomization is terrible. As a kid, I always had the worst luck with that. Like, if I had mushroomization, I tried to swing, either Ness would hit itself, or somebody in the party, and that would just cause problems. Genie and Fart Cave having to do some despawns. Now, Static did get a little bit better RNG on Apple Kid's in his own home, so we'll see how that plays out. Now Static's off to PRV for his first visit, while Genie is in the middle of the valley, hoping to avoid all the spawns. So good. And Genie is through PRV on to Happy Village. Try not to step on a snake, but I mean, if they get in your way, not much about it. Next trip is for a hat for better defense and a Sandlot bat for better offense. Oh, wow! How in the world did Genie not have a forced door spawn of a cultist right there? That had to have been at least a pixel away. Maybe 2 or 3, but good God almighty, that was close. Now, that fight from Genie after picking up the Franklin badge. And Static gets pushed by a hippie. And the toothbrush is 1 for 2 on Static. And the hippie keeps brushing his teeth. This is just wasting time for Static. I didn't even see what the rock and rolls were for Genie. But it's through Shack fight without any additional cultists coming in to help. Gets the crow item, which is always a cookie. Good idea for Carpan to have a couple of spare food items to at least keep you afloat long enough to win the fight. The thing is that Magic Butterfly was not worth it because the happiest, rather the insane as they're known, have a flag where you cannot run away from them, no matter what. If you get into a fight with them, it's a fight to the end, one way or another. There goes the statue for Static, and now comes Carpenter. What you really want is lightning to get reflected back. Does it happen always? Not always. But when it does, it's pretty sweet. 93 damage though, and Static's having to dig for that skip sandwich, but can't get away. This is trouble because you cannot run away from a UFO until around turn 6. Your best bet is to throw a rock, and if you don't take him out, the damage spread hopefully does it. Unfortunately, Genie, that is another painful death to take in this category. Carpenter need lightning reflect to hit and take him out on that turn. Didn't happen. So it's back to Tucson, and that is a nasty time loss. You hate to see it, folks. That time, and that unfortunate death has now put Static suddenly in the lead. That can still happen, folks. Now it's time for Static's shopping trip to get a Holmes hat and a Sandlot bat. Anything beyond this is completely optional. Although, full game run, a refreshing herb is picked up here, as well as a croissant. Now, Genie might be able to retake the lead if he gets a car painter before Static is able to. Because the one thing that at least is set is that if you buy a car painter, you don't have to do Shack Fight or any of that nonsense. And if Shack Fight goes south, then you don't have to go back for it. I guess that's nice, but the XP nice. Oh, a rock and fail on 2 of the enemies. And we got a cultist C. Oh no, this is threatening to go south in a hurry. Cultist B gone. Cultist C gone. Just has to finish the fight and does. Alright, he has pulled ahead. Doesn't have to do any of the excess fights in the cultist hideout. Static is heading back in that direction. No reflect this time for Gene. Now, Car Painter's script... Well, Car Painter runs on a script. Turn 1 is always lightning. Turn 3 is always a pain attack. Turn 2 is a life up. Turn 5 is PSI shield, and the cycle basically resets, repeats after the 6th turn. Genie through, gets the level up. That's a lot of HP for the Mole Death Warp, but should be fun. And you A-mash when talking to Car Painter for a much faster text box. And now, StaticPulse faces Car Painter. 0 for 2 to start with the lightning. Static gets through first try. And level 15 is not much of a level to write home about in terms of stat gains. In fact, I've had some runs where the only thing I've gotten on that level was a small amount of HP, and that's it. Now, the next for our runners is returning to Tucson, often done with a death warp to a mole. Now, there is a setup called that involves a UFO, but that can be sketchy as there's subpixels involved. And that's a rare dodge. And suddenly the small is having a hard time hitting the broadside of a barn. That's a very damage roll, and that's the mole death for Genie. Now the reason for this is that this is actually faster in terms of getting back to Tucson than just walking. Now it's Static's turn for the mole death warp. And coming out of the death warp, you go to the hospital, revive Paula. Just if you select S, they say that that person is not in the hospital. Ness goes down immediately on Static's end. And now the mole is just being aloof. Best way I can put it. Missed with a strong attack, though. And that'll take care of Static's death warp. This is getting really close, folks. And then in the sense of reviving Paula, getting the backstage pass, going back to Pulsar Theater, it's time to finally meet Everdread. But if this is your first time seeing Everdread, you don't fight him at all. So to that end, Everdread is an optional boss. Genie passes photo trigger on the right side. So there's two ways to pass that trigger, on the right side, on the left side. I'd say both are pretty good. Now it's just about time to get your jam dancing emotes out. And we're about to have a performance on Static side. Here comes the encore! While that's going on, we get the money over to Mr. Poachyfud. Runaway 5 free to leave. And now it's time for another cutscene. Oh, Genie opting for the around the back to get to the bus to avoid the photo trigger. Clever. Hey, sidewalk, get out of my way! That's another line that popped me as a kid just for being ridiculous. I love the text of this game. Got unfortunately tripped up by the bummed out groupie, and now we're about ready to have double bus, although more of a bus warp, if anything. So how close this race is now, because the way it's going, very easily the Pawn Cave could decide it, Boogey Tent could decide it. A lot of factors still to come. The trick with those zombies is you want to get just close enough to where they turn around and those two text boxes play. As that's the trigger for the hotel scene. And unfortunately, Ness and Paul have been locked up, so now it is off to Winters. Like in the graveyard now, won't that far behind. I'm not sure Static walked back towards the zombies unless there was a spawn I didn't see, which is possible. But he's on his way. Jeff's out of bed, and his best friend Tony joins along. Happy hour mark, everybody. Now, unfortunately, Maxwell gives us a key that is bent. And so we back and get something better. Two things you need to get here are the Holmes hat and Top Gun. Now, there is a broken air gun in the locker on the back left corner on the second row, but we're not going to be needing that. And once it does get fixed, the only way to get rid of the Magnum air gun is to send it by way of S-Cargo Express. And now it's time to pick up the Bubble Monkey. No safety dog this time for Genie. Instead, it's a... So, not going for safety dog. Instead, just gonna keep on keeping on. The food from the cook for the Tessie Watching Club is mandatory to continue onward. That is a perfect setup to skip the photo trigger on the bottom of the tank, Genie. Very well done. Tight window and hit it. Rose accent, unfortunately. Oh, and get your Tessie emotes out, chat. Could we potentially have a Tessie appear? Well... No, keep those... Keep purple dinosaur emotes coming, chat. And for clarification, I am referencing Tessie and not another purple dinosaur with a copyright. So Proto is confused on Genie's side, and as a result, actually hit either itself or Bubble Monkey. Hits Bubble Monkey for like 1 damage. And that duck may not cooperate for Genie to do duck skips, so may have to just YOLO it. Let's see. YOLO's it, but the Bubble Monkey was aloof and triggered the fight. Bubble Monkey kills this gum and quackers. Hey! Meanwhile, taking a bit of a spot here, having to deal with a protoplasm B situation. We'll get away though. And that is an uncooperative duck for Static. Gonna have to take it on at level 1. Thankfully, Duck has a bunch of moves that tend to just waste time, such as spinning something around, sense disruption, fall down. Only really has 1 attack in its arsenal, and Bubble Monkey takes out Mad Duck for StaticPulse. That'll be some levels. Now, interesting thing about the Mad Duck is that it is a slight chance of dropping a fresh egg. I've seen that drop a couple of times personally. Static is going for getting Proto Skip to. Wait, what is that pawn cave that Genie just got? I admit, I'm a bit jelly that Genie like a 3-pawn cave up to room 3, but still a very free pawn cave. Way freer than I have seen myself, but still, when it happens, you love to see it. Well, this is far from free for Static. Try and stutter past both Rowdy Mice and Monkey. Almost caught it, and not stopping for the burger, and gets out. Oh my goodness, that was clutch. But on the other side, Genie is out of Pawn Cave, and Monkey has fallen in love. Oh, this is gross. I don't think Static's getting past this one, because that's a pincer. He is able to run away first, although that saves a good amount of time versus taking the fight. On Genie's end, that is Dr. N notice, and for the fastest text, it is a double B match, I believe. To where first he'll offer a donut, and then he's like, yeah, fine. Text is a couple of seconds shorter. Glaring, but it's still shorter. Anyway, Genie's off to 3. It's not over yet, folks, as the tent can still sway this thing. Wow, terrible for Static here. Now he gets a clear out, he makes a break for it. Genie's End, it is the flyover. First Foresight, then Dusty Dunes. While Static does avoid all the cave boys, which is great because that is one encounter you do not want at all, because it's dangerous. And also, when you enter the Skyrunner, you gotta hit the button once Dr. Randonis walks over, otherwise you get a bit of a, well, what they call breaking the fourth wall type humor. Here comes the Skyrunner crashing into the graveyard. And boom goes the... Or in this case, the Skyrunner. Door opens, and Genie is now on his way to the final obstacle, and that is Boogey Tent. Doing some menuing to get Jeff's HP back up to maximum. Ness was fed a boiled egg, which, well, not that he needed it or anything, but protein is good. Does get the safety there just to be on the safe side. Zombie does not get there, and here we... Boogey Tent, about 579 HP. Big Bottle Rocket could do up to, well, 600 something, as it did there. Get your GGs in chat for Genie, who's gonna pull through and move on. Yeah, I didn't have a roll that good in any of my runs this Boogey season. Which is unfortunate, but you know what? That's how the RNG goes. And the time to get for Genie, 1:13:48. And in the race time room is a... Static's tent fight. $5.23, so that did most of the work, but not all of it. And good God almighty! God is my witness, that teddy bear on Static's end just got broken in half on a smash. That Static gets some payback and takes out the tent. Get your GG for StaticPulse. What Static's time winds up being is we mash through all these level ups. And no, that's not how sleeping works in Earth. Meanwhile, Static's time is a 1:15:25 I saw on the time. In the race time room, on the other hand, time of 1:15:26. GG's to both runners. That is a difference of a bit more than a minute and a half. Very well done. That, I do believe that's to do it for tonight. Let me check the schedule real quick. Yep, that is the only race on the docket for the... Come on back tomorrow. Nothing tomorrow. Scratch that. On the 20th, versus Oxcat at 7:30, followed by Rain versus Shooky at 9 o'clock. So we got a Monday night doubleheader coming your way, folks. That being said, give our runners a follow. They both played great. A fantastic tournament. Unfortunately, single of limbs, so StaticPulse is out. You'll hear him in the commentary booth. MBGenie moving on to face Peen Train. And with that, if you like what you heard from me, give me a follow too if you feel like it, because I also do some stuff, and I'm probably going to do more Boogey percent soon enough, because I want a sub 110. I'm dead serious on that. That's my goal, sub 110. You heard it here. The goal for me is sub 110, and that's the bottom line, because I said so. Anyway, we're off the rating blink. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, stay kind, stay safe, and we'll see you next race. Take care.